Happy New Year, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana, and I am live from my Beehive studio this morning. If you're watching me on YouTube, I am not live, but I'm so glad that you're watching this video anyway. I read my comments and I try to reply to all of them, so if you want to leave me a comment or a question below, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and do that. This year has started and there are so many things happening. I will probably forget to tell you half of them, but I will be coming to you live a couple times this week, so hopefully I'll catch everything that I want to say. Today is Casing Tuesday, and I promised you that I would be back here even though this is New Year's Day and a lot of you are off today, and I have a lot of work to do this week, so I am just jumping right in. My family's here with me today though, so that's kind of fun, so we'll eat lunch together and spend time together, but we all have a little bit of work to do. My son is a senior in high school and he's applying to colleges, and he has a few things still to get ready before he goes back to school tomorrow, and my husband's working from home, so it's kind of a nice day. And Casing Tuesday has a new edition, which I am really thrilled about. Catalina and I try and add something new each year just to make it a little different, to improve it. And this year we thought it would be great to add sketches. And if you're not familiar with a card sketch, is basically a layout with measurements that helps you create a card. So in the past, we have used a sample from the annual catalog as our blueprint, and that is still true. We start by choosing a card from one of the current Stampin' Up! Catalogs, but now we take that card and we break it down into a sketch. So you'll have a sample from the catalog and you'll have a sketch, and you can use both of them to create a sample. And we hope that you'll join us on our Facebook group. It's called Casing Tuesday, and if you would like to join us, just look for the link in the description below and we will approve you so that you can join us. Every week we have a group of bloggers who blogs along with us, and we all work on the same card, and so when you get to the Casing Tuesday Facebook group today, you'll already see, I think there's at least 3 samples already. Maybe there's more by now. I haven't checked within the last half hour. But our blogger group, we post them sometime during Tuesday to our group. So you can see all the different things you can do with that same layout. So I hope you're gonna like the sketch. And when I turn the camera around, I'll show you what the sketch looks like, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I designed the sketch and why I've done it a certain way. I used to be big on doing sketches on a group called Split Coast Stampers, and they still have a sketch challenge each week, and I used to love doing them. It's a great blueprint for a card, especially if you're a beginner. And the nice thing is you'll have the sketch, plus you'll probably have the catalog in front of you so that you can work from it, or you can use the picture that we post online as well. But it's nice to have a sketch plus a sample. And the annual catalog samples, or the samples in the catalogs, are usually not super complicated, so they're a nice sample to work from. So anyway, I hope you guys like that. And so what else is new? Oh, there's lots of things starting. I'm today using a stamp set that will be available in the upcoming catalog, which is 2 days away. We start that catalog on January 3rd. We have the Occasions catalog, and we have a rewards catalog called the Celebration catalog. The Celebration catalog has products that can be earned. So you won't see prices on them. They can be earned either with $50 increments or $100 increments when you purchase items in the store. And then we have the Occasions catalog, which does have prices, and that's all of our new products for the spring season. And so there will be Valentine's, Easter, birthday, just things that would work for this upcoming season. So I'm excited about that. And if you don't have a demonstrator and if you don't have a catalog, please feel free to contact me. The link is below and I'd be happy to send you out a catalog. All right. I'm going to turn the camera around so that I can show you what we're doing today and I can stamp the card. Even if it's a basic card, you will probably always learn some sort of tip and trick from me because I try and do things methodically, so I hope I can share something that I've learned while making the card with you. So let me turn my camera around and show you how I made this card. There's my view today. We have like really unusual weather today. It's quite warm. I think it's going to get up past 50 degrees today. So for Boston on January 1st, that's kind of unusual. But of course, with the warmer weather comes a little bit of wind. So we're also going to have kind of a little bit of a windy sort of day, but it's still pretty cool. Okay. Oh my gosh. I must not have turned this for a while. It is like really stiff. Okay. All right, so let me show you the card we're casing. It's this one right here. This was actually my pick, and I picked it because we haven't done a card like this in a while with 3 squares coming across, and I thought it would be kind of new type of layout for the new year. And so then I took this card and I turned it into a Valentine's card. It's pretty easy peasy, but I'll show you a couple of things I did that will help you if you're going to try this card. So here is the sketch I was talking about, and I just printed this off. And so what you can do is you can click on the sketch, so you'll find the sketch on my blog, or you'll find it on the Facebook group, the Casing Tuesday Facebook group. So in both of those locations, you can click on it. And what I did, sometimes the easiest way to do something is to copy a photo and bring it into like a Word document, like a Microsoft Word. So I just copy pasted this into Microsoft Word and printed it out. Now this one isn't exactly 5.5 inches, so you couldn't actually lay your pieces on top of it. But to help you with that, it is to scale. It's just a little bit smaller than a 5.5 by 4.25 card would be. So I have tried to scale it so that it's the appropriate scale, so you can kind of get a good idea of exactly the layout. And then I have the measurements of each layer. So the 5.5 by 4.25, that is the card front. If you're making a card base, it's going to be double that size. But I wanted to give you an idea of what the card front size we are dealing with. Then this layer and then these layers. I am using gray tones for this card or for this sketch because I want it to kind of be a blank slate for you. We already have a sample that has colors, but I want this kind of to represent kind of a gray tone version of the sketch. And then on there I also print where in the catalog, which catalog and what page you'll find the sample. And then also right here is our logo with the number of the sketch. So you'll have an idea of, you know, if you need to find this again, the thread, so you can find more samples, you'll know what the number of the sketch was. Okay, the sun is peeking out and it's causing a lot of sunshine in my vicinity, so that's a little better. Okay, so let me show you how I created this card. Let's do the hardest part first. So I've got a piece of powder pink cardstock here. Set this aside. And this piece is 5.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And I am using 2 stamp sets. This one here is from the Swirly Frame stamp set. This just has frames and some lines okay, that was my son calling. I just declined that call. Can you just give me
just a wee little second. I just need to run and tell my husband that my son was calling. He's out and I just want to make sure it is not an emergency. Just let me do that. Be right back. I did find the call. Okay, sorry about that. I just didn't want to make sure that wasn't an emergency, and I didn't want to take a call in the middle of the live, so my husband is going to deal with that. So I have the piece of powder pink, which was 5.5 by 3 3/8 inches. I want to come down 1 1/8 inches to create to stamp my little boxes. So I have a T ruler, so I can just take that, put the T along one side. We're going down 1 1/8. If you have a regular ruler, just measure down 1 1/8, okay, from the top. So you're just going to put yourself a little pencil mark. And then what I'm going to do, this is just like lining up a ruler, so you can do the same thing. I want to make myself a mark at the 1 inch mark, the 2 3/4 inch mark, and the 4 1/2 inch mark. So those are my marks right here, and those are going to be my centering marks. If you want to see a better picture of what that looks like, you could also draw yourself a line across here. This is 1 1/8 inch down, and then you can just take a ruler, make a mark at the 1 inch, the 2 3/4 inch mark, and the 4 1/2 inch mark. Now I can take my frame and I can stamp it. You could also use little squares of cardstock. This frame right here is approximately 1 1/2 inches by 1 1/2 inches. So if you're going to do little squares of cardstock, cut them to about that size. And so what I'm going to do, ink this up. This is a lovely lipstick, and I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to put that little dot right in the center of the square and then stamp down. This is not going to be like maybe 100% perfect, but it's a frame that isn't completely linear and perfect. So if it's not 100%, you're not going to notice, because there's a lot of distractions going on with the little cross-hatched lines. So it's just going to give you a little bit of a guideline on where to stamp. So look at that. That's not 100% perfect, but by the time I layer things up on there, it's going to look pretty good. Okay, let me set that aside. Oh, and then we need to stamp one thing down here. We want to stamp the Hey Valentine from the Hey Love stamp set. And let me just show you this. This is the Hey Love stamp set from the Occasions catalog. And this is going to be perfect for making friend Valentines and kid Valentines, because these little guys are just so cute. If you're making them for kid Valentines, you can stamp them or have your kids stamp them and have them color their very own Valentines for school. So I remember when our son Nicholas was small, and he would have to bring in little Valentines for every kid in the class. And so we would make them together, and he would do all the coloring. And he was actually better at watercoloring than me, because he was a little bit more random. It was really fun to do that with him. So this is a great set for that. So I'm going to take the Hey Valentine, and I'm going to keep the same color, lovely lipstick. It's one of our in colors, and this in color will be around for another 1.5 years. And so I'm just going to kind of eyeball this under the 2 squares and add that. So there is the basis of our card. And now, to give it a little bit of texture, I'm going to run it through the Big Shot. You want to do all your stamping first, so you get nice clear images. And then this is our subtle embossing folder, and I'm going to run this through. So let me just take this and line it up. And this is our extra thick embossing folder, so you only need one cutting plate. So I have my base platform right here. I'm going to stick my embossing folder right on the base platform, and then take one cutting plate and put it on top, and then run it through. So there is our embossed piece, and you'll notice that there are pencil marks in the center. You could have erased those, but no one's going to see them, so why spend the time doing that, right? So we can just set that aside. And then we're going to take a few little squares. I've buried everything now. Got little squares of cardstock. And now we're going to take the Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad. And I decided to keep things really simple. You could have used one of the other animals. So there's this little guy who would fit perfectly in the square. Or you can just stamp the faces. So this one would have worked, this one would have worked, and you could have created, put different animals in the squares. But I just wanted to keep it a little bit the same. So I'm just going to stamp this little bird in the center of each of these squares. Okay. And then, you know I love Stampin' Blends because they're so easy and bright and lovely. So I'm going to take, we have a lovely lipstick. That's why I chose to stamp a lovely lipstick too, to kind of keep that theme going. I'm going to use my bullet tip. I'm going to start by filling in that little heart on each of the little birds, keeping that kind of central theme going with the heart. The heart is going to be the same on all three birds. The little beak will be the same on all three birds as well. And for that, I'm going to use my Pumpkin Pie Light. The lovely lipstick one was the dark one. But for my pumpkin pie, I'm going to keep it really light and just color in that beak like that. And then I'm going to do 3 colors of birds. I'm going to use Pineapple Punch, and I'm going to start with the light. And this time I'm going to use the brush tip, and I'm just filling in the bird. I'm keeping it very simple because I just want each bird to kind of be different. If you want, you can come down and deepen the color on the underside of the bird just a little bit. Then I'm going to take a new Stampin' Blend. We have Balmy Blue in the new catalog starting January 3rd, and this is the light. And I know you're going to be thrilled to have a new true blue. We had Pool Party and we had Night of Navy, but Night of Navy was quite dark. So this one, let me just show you. Let me pull out all my kind of true blues. Let me grab a little swatch. Here we go. Okay, so this is the light Balmy Blue. This is the dark Balmy Blue. This is the light Night of Navy. And this is the dark Night of Navy. So you can see we really didn't have a very light colored blue before. So I just love this new Balmy Blue because now we have a nice lighter blue to work with. And because before we only had Pool Party, and the Pool Party tended towards the more green blues, and this is like the true blue. So I'm going to use just the lightest one. The reason I'm using light colors on the birds and a dark color for the heart is because I really wanted the heart to pop. And so by using that dark, there's a little bit of contrast with the dark versus the light. And if I had done the bird in a darker color, it wouldn't have worked quite as well. It wouldn't have, the contrast wouldn't have been as great. And then I'm using the light Granny Apple Green, another one of my favorite colors, Granny Apple Green. This is kind of the true green in our Stampin' Blends collection. If you want a nice medium green, this one is my go-to green these days. And I always like to come down at the bottom and shade just a little bit on the bottom with the exact same color. And that makes it really easy, especially if you're a beginner, because it's just kind of using the same color, so you can't really go too dark. It won't let you. So that's how I do those. And then I'm just going to glue these on here onto each square. And since we've already stamped each square, you just kind of take it and center it, each one. I think these birds are just really, really cute. Very simple. We didn't have to do too much to them. Just really, there's 3 colors on each bird. If you alternate colors, you could have done all the birds the same color, but I like having them in 3 kind of light colors. Then we're going to need a lovely lipstick card base. So this one is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at the 4 1/4 inch mark. So we're just going to add that to the front. You see the nice texture of the Subtles embossing folder. It just adds just a wee bit of texture without going overboard, because if you go overboard, it does not look good. Ask me how I know, because I did it yesterday. If I have it here, I'll pull it out of my garbage what I did. I'm always experimenting, and you know, that I think you have to do that a little bit, because with experimentation, that's how you're going to get better. You know, you're going to see, ooh, this looks good. I was like, I want to try this, even though I think it might be a royal mess, and it kind of was. So let me see if I can find my royal mess embossing piece. Oh yeah, here we go. So here I embossed it with one of our new embossing folders. This one, oh, what's the name of it? Let me grab the catalog. Yes, I don't know the names of all the new things yet. I can't show you the inside of the catalog because they don't want us to do that. But let me see if I can find the embossing folder. It is called the Lace embossing folder. Very appropriately named. But the lace embossing folder will look beautiful on many things, but not on this card. It is too complicated for this card. Even with these covered up, like if you cover up the squares, it was still a little bit, you know, too complicated for the card. But look at the nice subtle embossing folder. It's just got a little bit of texture to it. It's like the old textured paper that we used to have. So it's kind of perfect. The other thing I saw someone do, which you could definitely do too, so you could tie a little bit of ribbon around the bottom, like some baker's twine. I think it was Heather's card that did that, and I thought that was a nice little added touch if you wanted a little embellishment. Or you could add like maybe a little rhinestone jewel to each of the hearts, which would give it a little bit bling. But if you want to keep it really simple, then this is the card. So I'm going to, okay, okay, I need to like look at all these questions real quick. Okay, and Happy New Year to everyone who joined me this morning. Look at you from all different places. I've got a couple different countries going on. Oh, and Elizabeth asked, what was used for the square frames? So if you go back, you'll see it's the swirly frames. This stamp set is in the annual catalog, so it is already available. And I use this little frame right here, and it is about 1.5 inches square. So I cut my little squares to 1.25 inch square. So on the sketch, I did the frame size. And then if you want to add a little inside, go a little bit smaller to 1.25. You could also really easily layer this up onto a little square of cardstock too if you didn't have that frame. But don't you just love how that little frame just, I don't know, it just adds a little bit of interest to the card, because if that was just a plain square, it would look a little bit, you know, just a little bit plainer, because there's a lot of detail in that little frame right there. So that was a really good question. Okay, let me turn this around.
Ah, there's my ceiling. Grab my chair so I don't end up sitting on the floor. All right, guys, well, that was my card for today, and I hope you like this whole sketches concept, because I think for some of us it will make it a little easier. Now, someone's going to ask me, I know this question is going to come up, oh no, like now I have to do the card exactly according to the sketch. No, you don't. You don't, absolutely not. This is supposed to be a guide. So if you had like a card and say you wanted to do your little squares at 1 3/8 inches, that's fine. You know, if you need to change it around a little bit to match your image, or say you want to do it in portrait mode, turn your sketch, that's absolutely fine too. The sketch is meant to be a guide to help people, because sometimes like I can look at a card and I could probably tell you what the measurements of all the layers are because I've been doing this so long. But if you're new, or if you're not good with measurements, some people are not good with measurements at all. And that happens to be something that I find really easy. You know, this is supposed to be your guide. So you can like, this is your roadmap, you know, to kind of give you a little bit of a starting point so that you know approximately what the layer sizes are going to be, so that you can kind of pop those onto like a card base and kind of start working with it. And I hope it will help you guys. And it's nice because now you can print it off and you can share it with people. And if you're a demonstrator, you don't have to be scared to share it with customers, because guess what? It's got a, you know, it links to a catalog sample. So, you know, or share our Casing Tuesday Facebook group, because I love it when my customers are able to go and see other people's stuff too, because I'm not the only one that's creative out there. So it's nice for everyone to have that, you know, play with other demonstrators and see what they're doing too. So I hope you enjoyed today's card, and I hope you will join this week's challenge. And I will see you back here next week for another Casing Tuesday card, and I will be doing a couple more Facebook Lives on my page later this week. Okay, I hope you guys all have a great start to the new year, and take care. Bye-bye.